Essays on Untouchables and Untouchability Social by Babasaheb Ambedkar. Chapter 1, Civilization or Felony. 1. Another cross-section view of India's population. 2. Sunken classes seen through it. A. Primitive tribes, B. Criminal tribes, and C. Untouchables. 3. Effect of Hindu civilization on the condition of these classes. 4. Difference in the problems of these classes. 1. The population of India is generally classified on a linguistic or on a religious basis. There are the two ways of classifying the people of India which have been persistently in vogue for a long time. The effect is that outsiders get the impression that what is of interest and importance to know about the peoples of India is the religions they profess or the languages they speak. Limited by this interest, they remain content with the knowledge that they get about the religions and languages that are prevalent in India. All that the outsider cares to hold in his hand is that in India there are people who are either Hindus or Muslims, if he is interested in religion, or that there are some people in India who speak Marathi, some speak Gujarati, some Bangla, some Tamil, etc. Of the two ways of classifying people in India, the religious classification is the one which is more impressive and arresting for the foreigner. He is more interested in the religions than in the languages, but even he is not aware of all the religious communities in India. He knows only of Hindus and Mohammedans. He sometimes hears of the Sikhs, very seldom of the Christians, although they are a growing community, and never of the Buddhists, who are of course non-existent so far as India of today is concerned. The impression of the foreigner is that there are only Hindus and Muslims in India, and that there are none others worth bothering about. That this should be his impression is quite natural. The air is filled with the din and the noise of the Hindu-Muslim conflict. How grave the conflict is can be seen from the number of Hindu-Muslim riots that have taken place in recent years and the casualties and deaths that have resulted from them. But this struggle is a struggle for establishing an empire. There are Hindus who are agitating for establishing in India Hindu Raj with Mohammedans as subjects only. There are Mohammedans who are dreaming of pan-Islamism and of making India a part of a Muslim empire, with a choice for the Hindus between the sword and the Quran. In between these two extremists, there are sober persons who are for a state in which both Hindus and Muslims can live as equal partners. Whether the extremists will succeed or the moderates will succeed, time alone can show. In the meantime, the extremes in both the camps are making headlines by their bloodbaths. But be that as it may, I venture to think that there are many who will not feel much interest in this struggle between the Hindus and the Mohammedans. After all, it is a struggle for mastery, for dominance. It is a struggle for liberation. It is a struggle for establishing an empire of one over the other. They will be more interested in the struggles of the downtrodden, of those who are fighting to obtain the title deeds to respectable humanity. In describing the old quarrel between the Whigs and the Tories in England, Francis Place, in describing the political policy of the Whigs, said they were out to crush the king on the one hand and the people on the other, and establish the aristocracy of the governing class. Those Hindus and Muslims who are now fighting have the same policy in Indian politics. They want to establish their classes from them as the governing body. The masses, whether of the Hindus or the Muslims, are merely used for establishing the ascendancy of the classes. This struggle that is going on is really a struggle of the classes. It is not a struggle of the masses. Those who are interested in the struggle of the masses must learn to look at the population of India from another point of view. They must cease to look at it from purely an point of view of religion. They must look at the population of India from the social and economic point of view. This does not mean that one need not care to know how religion has affected the economic and social life of the people of India. Indeed, no study of the Indian people, be they Hindu or Muslim, can give an adequate picture of their life if religion is kept out of consideration, because religion is supreme in India as was the Roman Catholic Church in the Middle Ages in Europe. Bryce has described the dominance of the church over the lives of the people in terms that are worth recording. A life in the church for the church, through the church. A life which she blessed in Mass at morning and sent to peaceful rest by the Vesper hymn. A life which she supported by the constantly recurring stimulus of the sacraments. relieving it by confession, purifying it by penance, admonishing it by the presentation of visible objects for contemplation and worship. This was the life which many of the Middle Ages conceived of as the rightful life of the man. It was the actual life of the many and the ideal of all. The dominance of religion on the life of the people of India today is no much less than the dominance of the church over the lives of the people in the Middle Ages. It would therefore be a mistake to leave religion out of consideration. But it is equally true to say that the purely religious point of view would give only a superficial picture. What is important to know is how the masses and the classes in India live. What are the social and economic terms of their associated life? To what extent are these influenced by religion? The answer to this question is given by the consideration in which we find certain classes who fall within the Hindu fold. The end.